Still not. Yes, I want to continue.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah Sieg Avagnoni.
bringing you this week's Ascended World after a nice little week off last week. Well, not really a week off because we had a lot going on.
There's no such thing as a week off anymore.
No, never. I mean, it's okay because that's part of being passionate about what you do. It just always
Right.
snowballs into bigger stuff. But it was a fabulous and very intense week, actually, because I was out there for a week, and I'm just starting to really process all of that stuff.
Right. It was more than drinking from a fire hose.
Yes, it was.
It really was. And continues to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we thought this would be a good topic to cover because we talk about this and we've gotten much better at it, over the years.
Good morning, Gloria.
Good morning, Gloria. And good to see you. We haven't seen you on here for a while.
Right.
But we go and do these weekends or these weeks, and they're intensive for all intensive purposes. They are just an intensive every time.
Right.
So it's about we do a major shifting. So we had ourselves and we had a group of people over the last weekend, and then it was like it continued on right past that, because we took the one day off, which was Monday, and we went to the spa and did our vegetating and processing, and then it was like, oh yeah, okay, now you're ready for the next part of this, right? And then we spend another 3 days figuring, working on that. So here's the thing. So we get into this very clustered, focused situation, right? And we do massive shifting over that period, right? So in this case, it was like 3 sets of shifting we did over the course of a week, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so then what happens is we get, that's completed, and then we walk forward into, what's next. Exactly. Well, so in the past, and what we know happens with many who we've worked with who've come to these retreats, and whether it's the Trinity retreats or these like deep dive weekends or whatever, or even like 1 day deals and stuff like that, is that you go home and then for a couple of days, sometimes a couple of weeks, sometimes a couple of months, right. Things become rockier, a little more rumbly, and not in a bad way, but you and I have so many experiences with that, and how like our spouses are affected, our pets are affected,
Right. Yeah, I mean it, and not to plug next month's course, but with everything being that message, I mean, even your house is affected, and the electronics in your car, and I mean, everything is affected. Bank accounts. I mean, there's no limit to what's not affected.
Right. And so we, so for example, your husband was feeling nauseous in the middle of the weekend when we were going through all that stuff.
Right. Well, the energy was so dynamic is a good word for it in the house with everything that we were doing. And he I think he felt relief to leave and go to his office every now and
then. Right. Well, and the thing is, they might not be consciously aware of what is affecting them, or why they might be suddenly cranky or irritated at you, or let's see what else comes up: unworthiness, discomfort with themselves, right? In my case, what I've now discovered, this pattern, is with my cat, right? When I go away for it's funny, he's adjusted, so now he can handle when I go away for an extended weekend. And I realized, that it's not when I'm away, it's when I come back that he gets stressed. Like, and he's okay with me being away because he's got the support here and everything else. And like, he's
Well,
got,
and his world doesn't really change. The vibration of his world doesn't change. It's just okay. So there's someone else feeding me and playing with me and
right.
giving me scritches and all that.
Right. And it's like, when I get back, it's like energy adjustment. Right. Good morning, Sandra. So then what happens is like, so what happened was he was fine. I came home and within 2 days he started doing his stress. He's got this one spot on one of his front legs that he will stress lick. And then it starts to get, no, it's not all the way bald this time. So that's good. He's had it when it's gone. So, but it starts, you can start seeing the discoloration, in his arm. And it's like, well,
Right.
you know, get up with it, pal, because you energetically know what this is all about,
Exactly. Yeah.
And I realized, like last year, it got out of hand. He got really crazy about it. And I, realized it all happened when I got home, not when I was away.
Right. Right.
And so it's like, oh, well, it's an adjustment because now I've shifted energetically, or I've opened myself to other remembrance energetically.
Right.
That then anybody who's around me in any kind of capacity on a regular basis will be affected because I'm holding that space in a completely different way.
Well, and I mean, it's just that natural entrainment that begins to happen automatically. What's Laurel got to say?
Yeah, Laurel says, based on my own experience from traveling a lot, especially between mom and Jim, what happens is I'm now in new frequency and the other being just can't plug in the way they used to. Exactly.
Yep.
Well, and it's like, you're right. And even if it's only been like a month, right? It's like, okay, now they got used to that frequency and then you change it again. Right.
Right.
And so what I have come to do is I then set the grounds for, like when I'm returning, when I'm coming home or whatever, I always set the grounds for opening everybody to, balance and harmonize at this new frequency,
Right.
and it's their choice if they don't accept that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or that it has to be, if they believe it has to, or at some level they believe it has to be hard, well, then there's nothing I can do about that.
Right. Everyone has their version of, grace and ease, or this is just how it affects me. This is how I choose for it to affect me.
Right.
And it, that can be different.
Yes. And so, people will go, people go home from these weekends or these weeks or the retreats or whatever. And they're like, oh, I just can't connect. I just can't connect with my family or my friends or whoever, or my job, or I just feel like I have this really, and it's like, well, okay, so then energetically you can shift it to open up all the, the pathways to an easy and flowing, integration. Because by the way, there's still integration for us to do after we've been doing that.
Exactly. Yep.
And so it's like, and so it feels, a lot of times it feels more hectic for many because you're integrating a lot of different new remembrance, right? At the same time where others around you are either fighting it, right? Because they want to plug in the same way they did, like Laurel said, or they are just having a really challenging time accepting that frequency in their reality.
Exactly. And as you're integrating, you're continuing to shift. So they get to a place where it's like, okay, I can do this. And then
it changes again.
And you've moved. You shifted yet again. Yeah.
You become the Mercury rolling around. Yep. Yep. You become the Mercury rolling around on the table and you're trying to put the finger on it kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But I will say, because of my consciousness of that, it seems that, I mean, let's say I got home Thursday night and it's just been, I had a very full weekend planned anyway. So I just didn't notice. I did stay observant to it all weekend. And I was like, you know what? I sort of let it all be it was very flowy. In comparison, I think we get more adept at allowing.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Yeah. I mean, And it's kind of like you anticipate and you set the tone to where, yes, this is going to be a very dynamic time. And change can either be your friend or it can be your enemy.
It's our choice.
Right. It's definitely a choice. So that's something to consider, and to look at how you embrace that or resist that.
Well, and many realize after things like this, because we change continuously, right? And then we take these leaps when we have these very concentrated experiences that things sometimes do break, including the house, right?
Right. I mean, and in all honesty, that's the reason why you embark on these weekends, is to allow things to shift in a way that aligns with what you're really wanting to create. And when you say, okay, well, I want this, but all this needs to stay in place, chances are that's not going to happen, or you would already have it.
Right.
So
right.
it's, we always think of breaking and changing and like the tower card, we always think of it as a bad thing, and it actually doesn't have to be. Just like, the greatest metaphor is the caterpillar and the butterfly.
Right.
If we didn't want change, we would have no butterflies, because they'd all be caterpillars.
Right. Right. Yeah. And you're right. Well, and the thing is that, again, it has to do with how you want to perceive it.
Right.
But and I know, we know specifically going forward from anything like that. And these are why we call them deep dive weekends, is because they are deep diving into places that we have not been comfortable looking at. So therefore, it shakes our world, right? It shakes the ground that we believe we had under our feet. And so that in itself is going to shake out a lot of stuff that we were holding to cover it up.
Right. Right. And also, we've also called them like immersion weekends, where you immerse yourself in that new vibration. And a lot of things aren't compatible.
Yeah.
And those are the things that create that shift and that potential friction when you interact with others.
Right. Right. And it's just because things, like you said, it's like the tower card. But the thing is, with the tower card and the tarot deck, right? And I talk about that a lot because it seems to be the theme collectively for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now, the tower card. Right. And it's all about the stuff that's crumbling away that doesn't serve us. Right. Or, and I don't even like to say it doesn't serve us. The things that are crumbling away that just don't match and align with our vibration and where we are. And we've become masters at hiding that because of the comfort of the ego, going, oh no, I like this because it tells me I'm a valuable person. I like this relationship. I like this situation because it makes me look valuable, or I'm considered valuable by filling this role. And therefore I can hold on to this, and I can let go of this other stuff. But as long as I hold on to this, I still feel good about myself, because it's still that deceiving ourselves to say it's something outside of us has to give us that value versus us doing that value from inside.
Right.
So then the more we start shifting that, right, and these are what a lot of these immersions and deep dive weekends become, right, is that the more we shift that, the less we care.
Right.
I mean, not to say it like in that blunt kind of way, but it's the less we the less we put weight on what others value and how others value us, and in what way.
And that does remind me of a phrase I love to use, is the the discomfort of staying the same has to become greater than the discomfort of making the change.
Yes.
And so once you get to that place where that balance tips, you care less about things staying the same.
Yes. And then eventually, when you start seeing that they're going to continuously change, when we commit to that, when we commit to that path of consciousness, right, of staying conscious and aware and remembering, right, it's
Right.
like a snowball downhill, right? It's
Well, and that's when we get into that whole thing of it's not just being the calm in the storm, it's learning how to navigate that chaos.
yeah,
And when you bring about a good, solid relationship with the ability to shift and change like that, and not to plug this month's course, but when you trust and allow it,
right,
it really makes things so much different.
yeah,
And then you're better able to be an observation of those around you being impacted by the shifts that you're making, and it doesn't make it such a potentially contentious situation.
right. And so what the other thing that came and the other thing that came out, like for example, so here's another thing that I was sort of looking at meditation this weekend. The other thing that came out of last week is we did a whole bunch of stuff. Oh God, it sort of seemed like I could feel the yawning coming. It's like, oh, there's a lot. So we did a whole bunch of stuff of resolving things that we had in cracks and crevices at first, right? And then
Right.
the second part of the week, after we even had our deep dive and after we had the one day of rest, then the next thing came, which was, why are we still focusing on getting rid of instead of just creating the optimal, right?
Right.
And so what we went and did, and we spent several days doing, which was freaking incredible, which was going in and finding that realized potential in every essence instead of what we need to release to get to it or whatever. It's just like, no, what if you just remembered that? What if you just brought that forward, right?
Just go straight to that remembering.
And it was the like, I can't even remember. I remember that one, like, and it was a lot of lifetimes. Like, so what we would say is the lifetime experiences where we have mastered this essence, right? So the essence of worthiness, the essence of trust, the essence of guidance, of listening to guidance, the essence of forgiveness, the essence of
Abundance.
Abundance. We did that, prosperity and magic and powerful, being powerful.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, oh my God, it's still shaking my whole world because
it was incredible.
I feel so different, and it's like in the way I want to look. And so you want to talk about how then you have this disconnect with where others around us are, right? And here's the thing is we are so deeply ingrained in letting go of lack of things that are bad or like holding us back. And it's like, well, we created that. So what if we just had gratitude for having created it? And now let's just create something else. Let's go back to, and we've had different situations where we've had, mastered that essence, mastered the essence of worthiness, mastered. And for me, what was it? I was a freaking mountain lion, which was incredible. You want to talk about the essence of worthiness? Like, yep. It was just like,
Yeah.
and it's remembering and allowing that to anchor back into conscious memory, right? To then live it in that vibration. So we're just giving ourselves, it's like, why? And so then what happens is, everything else that we have, functioned with, interacted as, right? I want to talk about falling away, but then in this way, maybe that's why it feels easier for me than it's ever been, because it's like, no, I'm just this. Yeah, I'm just this now. Right. So you can be this around me or not. That's fine, but this is where I am. This is what and it's such a different level of a foundation of consciousness. Yeah,
it really is. And it's such a complete transformation of certain aspects. So it's not like, it's not like you're unrecognizable. It's like there's certain flashes almost of different behavior coming from a core essence versus whether it's a wounding or a fear or a belief, and it just comes across differently.
Yes.
Almost like unshakable.
Yep. Yeah, because especially when you bring that essence forward of when you mastered that here,
Right.
right? Or
Right.
actually it wasn't even here, because we did have some remembrances that came from other dimensions, other
Right.
levels of, consciousness. It was fascinating and really, oh God, like, and the more we did, the more we wanted to do. They were like, well, let's do this and let's do this one and let's bring forward this essence. And it's like, oh, because it's almost like, oh my God, I'm in the candy store again.
Right.
And
Right.
this feels incredible.
Yep. Well, and I mean, why not? We have access to it.
Right.
So
Right.
why not?
And we have in the past, like what we tend to do is we replay stuff that made us feel bad or limited or pained or whatever. And then we think, overcoming that to go forward, that's like it's a
Or
big,
what should I have learned from that?
right.
So let me see if I can get that lesson again. And let me
Yeah.
see if yeah, which is just reinforcing
It
that
needs to happen
negative
again.
right, exactly.
Yes.
Or the fact that I need something,
Hmm.
that I need to get something in order to have something. And
Right.
it's like it's just remembering. And
Yeah.
we've said that.
Yeah.
So this was the ultimate remembering
It
tool.
really was. It's like, oh God, you know what? When I left on Thursday, like, okay, we are already thinking of more. Well, what if we did one of this? And what if we did one, a session on this? And it's like, wow. Yeah. And it's what a different love-filled, fulfillment, right? In remembrance. Because we've done all of it, right? So if we've done all of it, we can
Right.
access all of it.
Right. Easily.
And now, what if we just brought it all together and accessed all of it here and now? Like, that is crazy powerful and awesome. Yeah.
Right. And actually very simple.
Yes. Yes. And clean.
Very simple. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it.
And we even did the mastery of the shadow
That's right.
course number 5. Oh no, course
Right.
number 6. Course number 6.
October.
Yes, October. Of course, very fitting. And that was a surprise on how we saw that both of us, right? The mastery of the shadow. That was
Right.
incredible. Because I saw it as every time we come through the birth canal, it's a mastery of the separation, and which is the shadow. And I was like, and it was so tingly and incredible and powerful to create that. And then you even saw it just from another dimension, or like this in-between
Right.
place.
Right.
And so it's like accepting all of it as like a candy store of mastery.
I know. And I just it like all comes flooding back in when just talking about it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Really incredible.
Yeah. So when and so when we come to this point and we really shift the way we're sitting in vibration, right? Or we're manifesting the vibration of our physicality here, obviously things will shift around us, because it's like
Right.
it's like what we've been talking about since the beginning. And we talk about it in Trinity, is that, it's like the discussion about how this old way of looking at energy is, oh, I have to protect myself. I have to, put shields up. I have to put bubbles up. And, very early on when I started doing this work, my guidance was nope, because you're just creating more separation.
Right.
And all is for you to do is to hold your space. Instead of allowing others to affect yours, you hold that space and allow anything to enter your space as long as it'll match your vibration or higher, right? So,
Yep.
and then if it's higher, then it helps you to raise yours even more, and it's like, okay, so I've done that, and I've done house clearings. I have dealt with really what people consider very dark and heavy energies and all kind of stuff without ever an issue, because it's all about holding our own space. So
Right.
when we do that, then we become the influencer of the energies in the space around us, and how people interact with us, and how our relationships flow and things like that.
Right. And I mean, that is so, I want to say powerful, but it's just so honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's where the power lies, is in that honesty and that authenticity. There we go.
And, so then we feel bad, like our habit is.
Yep. Dogs agree.
The dogs agree wholeheartedly. So, they very much agree.
Right. Okay.
So when so what did we say right before they agreed with us so much? What was that?
The authenticity.
Oh, the authenticity.
Yep.
Right. And then when we're in that space and it's simple, right? Either somebody chooses to be around you or chooses to engage in that vibration or they don't.
Right.
And what tends to happen is, like Laurel was saying earlier, that they try to plug in at an older energy. But if you are at that space and I'm just going to hold my vibration. So either you adjust your stuff to match mine or we just don't interact.
Right.
And that's where people feel like it gets clunky. It gets things start to like fall apart or they disintegrate or like relationships change. Even like, and I said, it doesn't have to be with people. It can be with your animals. It can be with your job. It could be with your household where people go home and then they have like plumbing issues, right? Because the flow changed. Electrical issues for the same reason, right?
Right.
Mechanical issues with the car. So like I always suggest, just make sure you set yourself at the space of being able to balance and harmonize and allowing it all to easily shift to match your vibration as to where it is now, right? And it does stay in that authenticity of, well, then you will, then you can allow yourself to simply be you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But I know people who they'll do this and then they go home and they're like, oh, well, I have to juggle this and I have to manage this. And it's like, you don't have to do anything because you're letting them now pull you back into that old vibration, right?
Exactly.
Or,
you're undoing what you've done.
Right. Or at some level, you believe that you should feel guilty for doing that.
Right.
So then you should have to attend to them because you're the one who caused that change. And it's like, nope, because guess what? They signed up to be in your reality through this anyway.
Exactly. Right. Right. And everything plays a part in that.
And so she had to mute herself for a moment there. They wholeheartedly agreed today. So yes, so that's the thing to note. And that can even happen just from like, it doesn't have to be like a weekend like we're talking about. It can simply be like a meditation. It could be you doing continuous self-work on yourself. It could be just shifting where you are in authenticity.
Absolutely.
And staying.
Yeah, I mean, even a shift in like increasing self-care, nurturing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't have to be big, massive energy shifts, just even the slightest thing.
Yep. Yep. And that does feed into the authenticity. And really it does have a lot to do with the trust, which yes, is this month's course.
Right.
There.
Which, follows on to the previous month of worthiness.
Yeah. So, and very interchangeable, right?
Yes.
Because we're worthy to be authentic to our own vibration. We're worthy to be our authentic self. We're worthy to be, to hold our own vibration, right? And have others rise to meet it.
Right.
And we can trust and allow that because we're worthy. That's the interrelation.
All very, very powerful.
Yes. Yeah. So I feel like today our session is around, allowing ourselves that authenticity, being, worthy to remember how to, let's see. Michael says, speaking of the courses, is there a way to purchase those individually? Yes. If you go to ascendedworld.net and you go to under courses, it's a drop down and it's like the
Ascended World Academy.
Ascended Academy, right? Yes, so if you click on Ascended Academy and you go to that page, you can go and get the courses individually as well as the
Right.
whole package.
Right.
They're all listed there. So, okay. So our session for today is, thank you, Michael, for reminding us to say that. But the thing for today is, I'm worthy to remember how to allow myself to stay in my authentic vibration and allow others to adjust to that around me, with ease and flow. You can set it for that. And if they accept it, that's great.
Right. And everybody has their own version of ease and flow. So keep that in mind.
Yes. Yep. And so we all find our way of connecting. It's when we get to a place of, when we get to a place of allowing each other to be authentic in our own vibration, then we connect so much more authentically too.
Right.
From the heart versus the head. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm worthy to remember how to and allow myself to do that. I trust and allow myself to be in that space, and that everything is perfect in the way it flows and, comes together. And in that, I allow my authentic vibration to be maintained, right? As I allow those around me to do the same.
Sounds great.
All right. All right, everybody, let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath. Step out of separation, back into oneness, and we hold ourselves at the vibration where that is our truth. All right. That started out very choppy and questioning and a lot of
Right. Yeah.
but. And then it calmed down and then it felt really nice. And it was like almost like a big sigh of relief. It was really like, oh, this
Yeah.
is so much easier. Yeah.
I saw like each of us in our own little, it looked in the beginning like bubbles, but then it was like each one of us is like a molecule. And as you know, a substance gets ready to change states, one molecule gets energized and it kind of just spreads and then shifts to the next state where everything's at that same vibration or energy. And I just kept seeing us all changing states, bumping into each other and then changing states. And it was like
Nice.
once you make that shift, it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
such a relief.
Like a release. Yeah. A
Yeah.
release right there. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Well,
But definitely resistance in the beginning.
yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot of buts, but
A lot of questioning. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, so everybody sit with that this week. We have a lot to share from what we uncovered and remembered last week and last
Right.
weekend. That'll be keeping us going for a while.
I think so. I think so.
A lot of matrixy stuff, literally, too. Yeah. Very cool. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Have a great week. And, thanks for Michael reminding us too. We do have our next course that's launching. Now, all of these courses can always be taken at any time. They're self-paced.
Right.
We have a live Facebook group, but where I think we got to it's not gotta. I guess, we're going to get better at like having more regular conversation. There's just been so full, right?
Right.
But you can take them at any time, but we have every time we're launching. So next month, we're launching the guidance and hidden messages course, which we rewrote the entire thing last week.
Right. That was just something we threw in there.
Yeah. I mean, that was funny that we had it and then it's like, oh, yep, no, we need to tweak it now. So we did. But anyway, so we're excited.
It's on sale this month.
Yeah, it's on sale for $99 through the end of June. Right. And then it goes to regular price. So go on out there at the ascendedworld.net on the portal Ascended Academy. Whoa, I can't even think of words anymore.
I know.
So, but anyway, so sit with this all week though, and it'll help really for any of those who were with us last week, but also anybody. It doesn't even matter because we're constantly changing. We're constantly making shifts. And the more we go, the bigger leaps that we take. And so as we do that, it's really important for us to be able to hold that space and allow that opening to allow others to do the same or not, but that we still hold that space. So
exactly.
Yeah. So everybody have a great week. This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah Sieg Avagnoni
signing off with this week's Ascended World. Have a great one.
Thanks.